Do you fancy going into politics? No. It would be a thankless task. It would be, no. I don't know. Oh, God. I'd go mental. See, I don't have to watch what I say because I'm a comedian and no one should take me seriously and I'm not in charge of people's lives. If I was a politician, it's the politics bit of it I don't like. If people said, what do you think? And you could do that, then it'd be fine. But it's the not being able to say the truth sometimes for an easier life or, humanitarian things versus economics. And there'd just be no question for me. Well, no, I'll do what's right on principle and I'll do the humanitarian. I don't give a fuck about what happens to billionaires, but that's no good. That's no good for politics. So no, I'd be shit. I'd hate it. I'd be shit. There you go. That's two great reasons not to do a job. You hate it and you're shit at it. So no.
You'd have to be here, really, to understand the sense of anger, fury actually, that has swept the United Kingdom in just 4 months of so-called Labour government under the plank of wood that is Sir Keir Starmer, unfeeling, unthinking, clunky, completely incapable of thinking or speaking on his feet. A man who has to read every line. Whoever hired this guy as a Queen's Counsel, now King's Counsel? Who would want to pay good money for him to represent them in court? But it's not just his personal failings and shortcomings that is the cause of the most remarkable petition ever launched in the history of the British Isles. A big claim. I'm going to back it up right at this moment at 7:03 on the evening of Sunday. That is to say, just 26 hours after the petition was launched, 1,358,000 people have signed demanding fresh elections in Britain. Some fools complain about the provenance of the petition. They don't like the fact that Nigel Farage and the Reform Party are heavily prominent in it. Or the retired police officer Norman Brennan, who we asked to come on the show tonight, but he required payment and so we had to decline. But that doesn't mean we're not right behind the petition. We absolutely are. Who cares who started the petition? It has captured the zeitgeist. No petition ever has garnered that number of signatures on a petition. And it is growing tens of thousands per hour. It's going to reach millions of signatories. And that is because of the rank betrayal that Keir Starmer is already guilty of just 4 months into his premiership. The one that rankles most with me and about which you've heard me speak many times is the theft of the cold weather payment allowance paid to millions of British pensioners to help them through a bitterly cold winter. It's already unprecedentedly cold here in this global warming Britain. It is almost as bad as the weather can be here in the United Kingdom. Storms, snow, -8, -10, -12 degrees in the country, and pensioners having to struggle through deciding whether they eat or whether they heat. And no matter how much they heat, given that energy bills are 4 times what they were just 2.5 years ago, they're unlikely to be able to heat their homes sufficiently. I am not short of my electricity bill, but I'm going around shutting doors, making sure no drafts are letting the heating out Imagine if you were a poor old age pensioner in Britain. And what makes it much worse is that Starmer knew that he was going to do this before a single vote was cast. He did not even properly study what the impact of this measure would be. And worse still, he did it for Zelensky. Don't take my word for it. Look back at the chronology. The very next day after Starmer stole the coal from Britain's old age pensioners, his foreign secretary, Idi Amin Dada David Lammy, was in Kiev, promising 3 times the amount saved by stealing from the pensioners in perpetuity every year. 3 billion every year forever is what Keir Starmer has promised Zelensky. The ancient and peculiar hatred of the British towards the Russian people is a subject I'll come back to later in this monologue. But there are many other betrayals of which Starmer is guilty, and he is completely without the artifice to defend himself. He cannot find the words. He cannot find the empathy. He's launched a new battle today in the Mail on Sunday against Britain's benefit culture. But he is the recipient of the greatest amount of beneficence from private donors of any British politician in history. Just get your head around that. This man is wearing glasses, costing thousands of pounds, paid for by a private donor and not declared as they should have been. When you see him in a suit, I know he doesn't cut much of a dash, but somebody paid £12,000 for that suit, and he didn't declare that either. He has taken more freebies than any British politician in recorded history. This man who wants to make war on the benefit culture is the biggest beneficiary of them all. And we got a glimpse in the week of who might be paying in the end. You know, I predicted when he betrayed Britain's farmers at the budget by introducing a tax on inheritance of small family farms, that again he must have known he was going to do, but didn't mention it during the election campaign. I knew what he was up to. And 4 days later, he was sat in number 10 Downing Street with BlackRock, who will be buying the farmlands from the bankrupted farming families that have been ruined as a result of his treachery. Huge numbers of farmers and their well-wishers, of which I am one, were in central London, firing the first shot in what is going to be a long, bruising, damaging battle for the government if they go forward with their efforts to destroy farming in Britain as we have known it for centuries. He was right behind a suicide bill. They're not even hiding it anymore. Old grannies and grandmas, if they're cold, if they can't heat their house in the winter, well, we have a solution, said the government. We'll put you in a capsule, give you a glass of sherry and a jab on your upper arm, and you'll slowly slip away. This suicide death cult that is Labour is not content with killing people in the Middle East, killing people in the Ukraine, killing people in the Yemen. They're killing our own pensioners. They're killing our own chronically sick. Rather than investing in care at the end of life, they would prefer to persuade you that you've become a burden on your family and on society and on the taxpayer, and it would be a jolly good thing if you would shuffle off quietly into this good night. He has backed a genocide in Gaza, an actual genocide. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of the world's highest court, the International Criminal Court. Take the word of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, which this very week issued arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the former defense minister, sacked by Netanyahu just the other week.
Brilliant. Really, really smart. There's some smart people on the internet. There's some fucking morons as well. But such is life.